Hello and welcome to a new Geektown Behind the Scenes podcast. I'm your host Dave Elliott, and this week I'm chatting with Sharlene Royer, the assistant stunt coordinator for the utterly brilliant Shogun, which recently won a record-breaking 18 Emmys, including a very well-deserved one for outstanding stunt performance. Based on James Clavell's novel, FX's Shogun is set in Japan in the year 1600 at the dawn of a century-defining civil war. Lord Yoshii Toranaga is fighting for his life as his enemies on the Council of Regents unite against him when a mysterious European ship is found marooned in a nearby fishing village, and the story goes on from there. It is an outstanding drama, and it's available on Hulu in the US and on Disney Plus in the UK and many other territories. It is well worth watching, and it's also worth catching up because it appears it will be returning for 2 more seasons following that record-breaking Emmy win as well. Born and raised in Quebec to a Haitian mother and French-Canadian father, Sharlene was a dancer from the ages of 7 to 18 before moving into modelling and acting, but was then encouraged to try stunt work by the legendary stunt coordinator Oliney. She soon became a highly sought-after stunt performer, being requested to double stars such as Halle Berry, Rosario Dawson, Vanessa Williams, and many, many more. On Shogun, Sharlene discusses her work on the epic drama as the assistant stunt coordinator, working alongside her boss and life partner, Laro David Chartrand de Baye, developing the hugely complex Emmy-winning cannon sequence, melding FX physical effects and stunts for the earthquake sequence, plus location scouting, stunt coordinating, dealing with the pandemic as well in the middle of all that, and lots more. If their work on Shogun wasn't enough, she also was the assistant stunt coordinator on season 1 of the hit CBS drama Tracker, for which she became the first black female stunt coordinator to win a Leo Award from the Motion Picture Arts and Science Foundation of British Columbia. She talks about her working on that show and the stunts involved with lead actor Justin Hartley and his photographic memory, and also dealing with Justin alongside the guest star Jensen Ackles, who were as much fun as you probably imagine they would be. If you still want more, she also worked on the wonderfully fun DC superhero drama Legends of Tomorrow, performing the stunt work for Hawkgirl, which was obviously a lot of wire work, so we touch on that in the interview as well. Sharlene was absolutely lovely to talk to. It's a really, really wonderful interview with some great insights into the stunt world. So if you're interested in stunt performing, if you like these shows, definitely worth a listen. And if you want to hear more behind the scenes interviews, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcast by searching for Geektown Radio. This will also give you our weekly Geektown Radio podcast, which brings you all the latest TV, film and gaming news. You can also go to the website at geektown.co.uk for daily news stories and all the latest UK and US TV premiere dates. So here's the interview with Sharlene Royer, assistant stunt coordinator on Shogun and Tracker. Sharlene, lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too.
So we're very cool posters in the background.
Thank you.
Whereabouts are you?
Right now I am in Vancouver, in Canada, right?
Right.
And this is my base camp. And from there, I work anywhere where I'm needed. So This is home.
Yeah. Well, it's a good place to be based. I mean, so much stuff gets shot in Canada these days. And now I'm Vancouver.
Yeah, true enough.
Good place to start. Thank you for taking a little bit of time just to chat through some of your stuff. I've spoken to a few stunt coordinators before. I've actually spoken to a few female stunt coordinators before as well, but they are few and far between. I understand that, but I'm sure we could talk about that a bit. But before we get into some of the shows you've worked on, how did you actually get into the industry in the first place?
Film industry, when I was little, because I was a dancer and all that. I did a lot of stuff before, but the stunts was in 1999, 2000. I was in Montreal, and it's actually a stunt coordinator from Los Angeles who discovered me. So the industry was not very developed, and the stunt community as well. And I was a stand-in for Rosario Dawson, and he was looking for a stunt double for her. So he saw my picture, my resume, saw my background, and then I received a phone call, and that's how I ended up being a stunt performer. So his name was Oliney. He was one of the first stunt coordinator, stunt black performer in LA in the 60s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he was doubling the lead actor, one of the lead actor on the TV show called Mud Squad. And so he got me sucked in, and he trained me for 6 months. It was a great mentor. But it was like, if you don't like it, I find somebody else, but please at least try, So I show up, he saw me, and he saw my physique, the way I look in person, said, "Oh, you're hired." But yeah, no, it happened real quick. But it was a great time. I'm happy he did it, because then the rest is history, and I learned a lot from him. And anyways, in a nutshell, to answer your question, that's how I got in.
Yeah. It is crazy sort of being discovered to be a stunt person, because you do, I mean, yes, I understand there is a background in dancing which, lends itself to this sort of stuff, but it is like, somebody looks at you and goes, "You'd be great at throwing yourself off things."
Yeah, it's kind of, you're a good candidate. Yeah, you kind of go, "Ooh," but no, it was a great go. It was fun. Yeah. It's not even happened, but yeah. It's
a really interesting industry to get involved in. And of course, one of the things you've done quite recently was Shogun, which was a phenomenal series. Did you kind of get the call for that and think, "Oh, great, we'll be going to Japan," and then they shoot it in like British Columbia?
No. Well, of course you have a few questions, but there was no like, "Oh no, it's here." No, it was more like, what? They want to do a what? Shogun? A remake of what? How is it going to look like? Because I still remember the original one. Mm-hmm. I was a kid when it happened, right? And then basically I'm working with my boss, which is my life partner as well, is Lauro Chartrand-Del Valle, which he is the coordinator.
Right.
And he did The Last Samurai, right? He was like, he was the fight arranger and choreographer on that. And so he was on that show, and Yoshii Toranaga was on that show as well, right? So they knew each other. So I guess the connection ended up at that point, right? So the phone call came from that direction, and also the qualification and all that. And for him, it was like an opportunity to continue the work he has done before. And me, I was like super excited. I was like, we're going to get to, work on this as well and participate and see all this happening. And so the excitement was there. So I don't think I was thinking, "Oh, is it going to be in I was not that picky. I was more like, right?
Yeah. I mean, they did such a phenomenal job with that show. I mean, as borne out by the fact that it won 18 Emmys recently, I mean, and one for the stunt performance as well, which is incredible work. It was just a phenomenal series. It's interesting, actually, you mentioned that your partner is the stunt coordinator for it. The number of times there are family connections with stunt people where it's either couples that are working on a show, or it's like fathers and daughters or fathers and sons. And it seems to be that sort of industry.
Yeah, they call it nepotism. But in our case, it took many years, because I was pushing back. I'm not going to work for you. I'm not going to work with you. I'm going to do my own thing. I want to be respected. So I did that for a long time. So nothing on my resume prior to, let's say, 5 years ago has him involved, right?
Right.
I had my own name, my own qualification. I'm a stunt coordinator as well, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a point in life you have to choose what is important for you, your happiness. So I love my job and I love my life, my family. If we can join the both together, why not? Because otherwise I can be 6 months on my side, mm-hmm. and he can be sick, So I was getting also older as a performer. I didn't want to wreck my body anymore. So it was more like, you know what? I don't care what people's going to think. We're working together. We're a great team. And I think we can make this work. Let's do this.
Yeah, so, I as I say, it seems to be something that happens quite a lot, particularly in the stunt industry, which is, I think is great. It makes perfect sense, because if you're doing that sort of stuff, you want to be with people that you know and you trust and
you love.
Yeah, and you love. Yeah, no, absolutely. So you're the assistant stunt coordinator on Shogun. What did that job entail for you?
Well, basically, whatever he does, I'm able to do. So I'm there to make sure that if he's busy elsewhere, I can step up the plate and do the job while he's busy attending more urgent matter or where he's needed. Because he's also a second unit director. So if he's in the chair, I need to step up the plate and take, over a bunch of things. And then when he's back in the coordinator's seat, I go more and do and help out with like the booking, picking the right performer, helping to design the action with him. I assist him in everything he needs so he doesn't need to spread out too thin, right? So whatever, if he's not available, I need to be qualified enough, to answer those questions at his place. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a secretary job like people I think. So if there is a location scout, it's when you go and visit a location with all the head of department, with the director, to see if the location will be proper for the action we have in store. I need to go there and be able to assess it, right? So things like that. And also run rehearsal or be on set and make sure everything is safe for either the actor or my stunt performer or the crew, etc. So it goes from reading the script, do a breakdown, extract the action, evaluate the action, who I'm going to need, how many doubles I will need, and so, all the characters, I evaluate that. And then do we have a fight? Okay, we will need a rehearsal for this, etc., etc. So it goes with a lot of logistic and management, and then you go into the action and actually doing it and prep it. So from the script to the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of big stunts and things going on with Shogun, and you've got like things on boats, and there's lands, there's an earthquake at one point. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff going on that show. Are there any particular stunts that stand out for you from Shogun?
Oh, wow. Okay, I will try to pick one or two. Am I allowed to have two?
Yeah. No, as many as you like.
Okay, well, I would like to talk about the performance that won an Emmy for. It was like a 9-man ratchet. And for that, it was a scene where, in the episode, where they're testing the cannon or shooting the cannon, right?
Yes.
And then you see all the samurai getting slam and going in different direction by the cannon, and then horse fall. And, it was a hectic scene, but we had to create a scene where every stunt performer were on a single ratchet, right? So we had to test them one by one, right? And then you need to implement an action in it where one is running this way is being pulled, and then one is going this way is being pulled, and so on, and have that going simultaneously at the same time.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So make sure that the lines are not being crossed on each other, or performer don't land on top of each other, and that look like realistic, like it looked like the real, like it was a cannon grabbing them. So that was. And if I may say, we were back in the time where we shot that 2021, right? 22, where we were in full pandemic situation. So you have your guys to rehearse, right? And then we have the testing going on. And then you might lose the guy who rehearsed that gag, might not be there on the day because they might be sick. And, so we were constantly dealing with that. But anyways, we made it. And we had the horses as well, all that. It was a big day. Yeah. But we managed, we had fun. But the challenge was to have this happening all simultaneously with no accident and things like that. So we had to be on the dot, right? So it went well. That was a cool one.
Yeah.
And the earthquake was kind of cool because it was a work end-to-end with VFX, special effects on set, and stunts, right? So you have like the blue screen to make it bigger than it is. And then all the ground being worked out with wire and everything when our guys are shaking and, sliding and disappear in the dirt. And then I'm going to have one last one. It was episode 9 when it was Anasawi, a fight with the Vo staff at the end. And every stunt person in that sequence are either top-notch stunt coordinator there or martial artist or the hard-to-get stunt performer in one sequence. And for me, when I realized that we had all those super great performer in one moment, I was just like, I couldn't believe what was happening. I'm like, I think that show's gonna be big, So it was, and the camaraderie, if I may say in French, was kind of high. Everybody was happy to be there. It's like we knew something's going to happen down the road with this, but we were not sure what, but we knew something was going on.
Yeah, I mean, it deserves all the praise it got, from the directing to the acting to the stunt performing to the VFX. I mean, the whole thing was so well put together. It was a really, really stunning piece of work. And I know they're talking about doing a second one, which is going to be interesting because that goes beyond the source material, which isn't always the best idea, but they've managed to pull it off with things like Handmaid's Tale. So, maybe they can get away with it.
Be open.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's 2 and 3.
Ah, awesome. I think if they've got it planned out well and they know where the story's going, there are certain places you can take that story, definitely. So I'd be really interested to see more of it. Looking forward to that. One of the other shows you worked on was Tracker as well, which is another great show. It's a great network series. How did you get involved in that show and what were you doing on that?
I was in the same position and a little bit more. There was like a few episodes that I had to run on my own because schedule was busy between me and Lauro. And basically that show was not... We did the pilot. So it all started with the pilot and people that we work with on Prison Break years before. Okay. So, you want to jump on this? I read it was like a big thing. So we did that and then it got picked up, which we were like super surprised and happy about it. And that's when we end up doing the first season. And every action just got bigger and bigger and bigger. But it was a fun ride, It was like, because with a TV series like that on a network, things are not necessarily written in advance. It's like as they go along. So you don't know where you're going to go, where it's going to lead, what kind of stunts you're going to have, where we're going with that. So it's always like a curveball, but it's fun. Keep you on your toes and it's fun. It goes from the horses to the fight to the car chase to, high fall.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with a show like that, the budgets are probably, I suspect, slightly different to something like Shogun, but there's variety. I guess there's an interesting sort of variety on a network show like that where, it's an episodic sort of, he's in a different situation every week. Yeah. And like you say, you're doing car chases and then horses and then, so there's a lot more stuff to play with, I guess, on something like that.
Yeah, but it's more busy because you don't have as much time as Shogun, obviously. So your prep time is that big compared to that big. Yeah. It's quick, right? So you have to be a little bit more creative, pragmatic, but it's a different rhythm, definitely. It's a different project, definitely.
Yeah, no, totally. Is there anything particularly stands out from the work on Tracker or any of the stunts that were either sort of fun to do, difficult to do, interesting?
Well, it's for me, what stands out, it's really the first episode because we had like it's almost 2-minute sequence stunts, only stunts. So it starts from a man chase, to a jump into a car, the back of a truck being dragged, and that drag transform into a car chase and a slash. It's a big thing. It's like it involves helicopter, cars, wire work, water work, high fall in that whole sequence. And we actually won the best stunt coordinator for that sequence. So I'm pretty happy about that. So
congratulations, Joe.
Thank you. And we have a pretty good lead actor on that is pretty physical and love to do his own thing. So we have to tame him down, hold him back because there are things he cannot do, obviously, because he needs to be there until the end. He cannot we cannot afford to have him broken or anything, but I think that's more hit. But I wish I can say something super extraordinary, but overall, that's what is Tracker. That's what it is.
Yeah, I love that show. It's really, really good. You sort of touched on it there with Justin Hartley wanting to do his own stunts. Over the course of the projects you've worked on, are there actors that have particularly stood out to you as being, well, if they weren't an actor, they could be doing stunts full time? You know, anybody that's been particularly good?
Justin?
Yeah.
Good. That man have a photographic memory. You show him, like, let's say, an arm lock, a fight. He's looking at it 1, 2 times, 3 times. He got it. He's doing it. It just blew my mind. He's really, really, really fast. Photographic memory. So he's really a good actor. And now I'm going to look very bad because I forgot the name of the gentleman that joined us on the last episode of the first season. He was on
Supernatural.
Yes,
yes, it was Jensen, wasn't it? Yes.
Those two together. Oh my God. And that's another one that is super good with doing his own stuff. So that's like firecracker on the set with those two.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Thank you for the name. Woo!
Yeah, I believe they're bringing him back for some of season 2 as well. And he's great. The Supernatural guys, I have a huge affinity for that show. I know you did a little bit of work on Supernatural at one point as well.
Yeah.
The other show which you did quite a bit of work on was Legends of Tomorrow, which was a beautifully silly show. Out of all those kind of DC superhero shows, Legends was the one which I absolutely adored because it embraced its stupidity to just the nth level. It's just wonderful. And it was like, okay, we're doing this, let's roll with it. Whereas the others tried so much to be like quite serious in places. And Legends never did that. And I always love it for that. But you doubled Hawk Girl, I think, on that as well.
I was a double Hawk Girl. So when I first had the call for this, I'm like, ooh, which character? Hawk Girl? I'm going to be slam on that show. I knew it because, as soon as you're on a wire and you double a character that fly on a superhero show, it means you're going to get shot and land somewhere.
Yeah.
So I had concussion, opened my
no.
Oh yeah. I had it all on that show, but it was part of the job. Nothing was like wrong. It's just sometimes, shit happens, but it was, you fly. I knew. Yeah. So all the time I had 2 harnesses, one with lead cuff and one without, so I can change in between. And the costume were complicated as well. So it was a hassle sometimes to be in the harness all day because you need to go to the little room sometime, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's already like a 20 minutes, undo, go. So I have to pick my moment. But it was fun because we were always in, when you do those superhero show, it's like you're in that world, right? So you're not only looking at it, but you're living in it. So the child in me was like,
yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of a fun for that, all those little stories. And what was important, it was like every fight, every little action moment, and this is valid for every other show I did, Shogun or Tracker, it needs to tell a story. It's not a punch for a punch, a kick for a kick. It needs to tell a story. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, there's no point.
Yeah, as well, coming from a sort of dance background, there is that sort of crossover of the narrative of choreographing the fight in the same way that you get it with the narrative of choreographing a dance routine, I guess. So there is a similarity there.
Yeah,
so,
emotion. Yeah. So, and mimicking your actor properly too, because if you walk a certain way, you have to mimic that.
Yeah, absolutely. We touched on it a little bit about it is a very male-dominated industry. I think the last stats that I saw were sort of, I think there's about a quarter female out of the stunt industry-ish, something around that.
Coordinator you're talking about or perform coordinating? Right?
Coordinator's probably much lower, I would assume. Yeah. But yeah, certainly in terms of performers, there's about a quarter in terms of sort of female performers. But yeah, I mean, I imagine the coordination level is way, way lower than that.
Yeah, it's way lower. And there's two things as well. Is like, if we're talking only performance, right? Stunt performer, a man can have a career as a non-determined stunt performer, meaning being a SWAT guy in the back, a person that end up being shot and killed, or things like that. They can have, but for women, there is not a lot of that. A woman will always end up doubling most of the time an actress. I'm not saying there is no ND job for them, but there's way less.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd never thought of that, but yes, that makes perfect sense. I mean, not good, but I can see that.
You can see why,
yeah, I can absolutely see that. That's an interesting one.
And then at the same time, it will be tougher on a woman than a guy. I'm not putting down the guys, but it's tougher because if you're doubling a lead actress, it means it's highlighted. So it's a big gag versus what's in the back, right? Mm-hmm. So the percentage of risk for me feel higher just because of that, the costume as well, because what do we wear in life? Tight jeans, skirts, stuff like, where do you put the pads?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. Kind of tricky if you're wearing tight outfits, or, if you're trying to look like you're wearing normal clothes, to hide that underneath a costume. In terms of getting into the coordinator side, or just into the industry in general, do you have any sort of advice for people that would be interested in trying to get into it?
Well, first off is like, to be a coordinator, you need to have at least 10 years as a stunt performer. As experience, like full time, because you cannot coach someone if you haven't done it yourself or something, right? So it makes sense. So that's what. And then if you want to be like a stunt performer, well, make sure that you have like a gymnastic background. If you don't have it, go get it. If you are physical at the base, it's good. Then always put the time in and learn new skills. Don't limit yourself to, I know how to fight and that's that. No. Know how to drive, know how to ride a motorcycle, know how to flip, ride a wire, fight, manipulate horses, and especially also diversity people, color people. There's not a lot of us who know how to ride a horse or motorcycle or drive cars. So that's a good pointer to put your effort in to help with having the proper personnel to do those jobs, out there. But always train, maintain your skills. I don't care if it's once a week, but always maintain that. And then when you're on set, observe what the coordinator is doing, observe how a set function, the hierarchy, because eventually your body won't be able to do those stunts anymore. Yeah. So if you want longevity, you go where? To coordinating. So start to help and assist the stunt coordinator. That's a good spot to start. And then eventually you're going to get your own shows and you're going to get there. But observe a lot, pay attention, watch the monitors, help the coordinator when he missed something, go in his ear, tell him, hey, maybe you should pay attention to this, help out like that. So those are a good pointer. And I would say be able to be in control of yourself, because if you're not able to operate under pressure, it's not a job for you.
Well, yeah. Yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted, a job like that.
No.
So you've got Shogun, which you're working on, Tracker you're working on. We mentioned Shogun potentially coming back, Tracker back as well. Are you working on the new seasons of...
No, the new season of Tracker, we're not on it. That was a tough decision. We've been asked to go back, but I think my boss had other aspiration. So he's in Mexico right now, so he wanted to take on this adventure. And I am back and forth since May. He is steady down there since May and is going to finish November. It's called El Gato Negro. It's shot in English and in Spanish. The Amazon MGM show. It's a Batman, Mexican Batman.
Oh, wow.
With Diego Boneta is the lead on that. He's well known in Latin America. And he wanted to take on this adventure because this is part of his DNA heritage. He's half Mexican as well. So he said, let's go there. Okay. Yeah. And more, he loved the challenge. And also because of Shogun, we don't want to interfere with that. So that was the perfect project in between. So
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Anything coming up for you that...
Well, right now I'm helping on this, and also we are in post-production for our own independent little movie that we shot.
Cool.
This is in it's not easy. I don't know. It's really not easy.
No.
It's like, woo. So this will come out next year in the spring, while we're going to be on Shogun. And this is what the things I am on right now. I did work on Never Let Go, doubling Halle Berry. So I doubled her for about 20 years. And that was my last job, doubling, official. Came out of the closet for her. If I may say like that. So I went and did that job. And that was when I went, okay, that's it. I'm not performing anymore. Mm-hmm. So those are the things for now. But really what's coming is going to be we laying the ground and prepping mentally and physically to tackle Shogun 2 and 3.
Yeah, that's enough to be dealing with, I think. Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a lot. All right. So last couple of questions for you. And these are the same things that I ask everybody. So the first one is, what TV shows are you watching at the moment?
Oh, okay. There's From, because I read that show. I love sci-fi or things that are weird. So I'm watching this at the moment. And Tool Sucking season 2.
Okay. Yeah,
that's what I have time at the moment to watch at the corner of my eyes.
Yeah,
for sure. There's other things that I was waiting for, Foundation, but it's not out yet, or Snow, it's not out yet. I'm waiting for those things, but at the moment, those are the two things.
Yeah, I've just started Tulsa King season 1 actually, so I'm a little bit behind, but I've literally just started it a couple of weeks ago, so I'm working my way through that. It's brilliant. It's so fun. I don't know how Taylor Sheridan managed to make so many shows. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, same question. How does he do that?
Yeah, at this point you could just rename Paramount Plus Taylor Sheridan Plus, and it just, because half the shows on there quite literally are from Taylor Sheridan. It's ridiculous. But yeah, they're all brilliant. I mean, that's the other thing. So last question, if you had the opportunity to work on any TV series, can be something historical from the past, something present day, or some sort of future genre which maybe you haven't worked in yet, which would it be?
Oh, wow. I'm jonesing to work on a thing that involves UFO.
Something UFO?
Yeah, UFO stuff. That's the only thing I haven't touched. I did sci-fi and stuff like that, but I have done nothing like Fire in the Sky or Fort Kind, or I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, full-blown, like hard sci-fi, aliens, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Or a remake of Barney and Bunny. I forgot, the interracial couple who got abducted in the 60s or 50s.
Oh, right.
I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but...
Cool. Well, I mean, hopefully something like that's going to come along at some point, I'm sure. There's enough channels and streaming services making sci-fi and all sorts of things at the moment. There's so much variety, it's ridiculous.
We'll see.
Awesome. Well, thank you for spending some time to chat with me. I really, really enjoyed it. It's lovely to talk to you. Good luck with the new seasons of Shogun, because season 1 was phenomenal. I don't know how you're going to top that, but I look forward to seeing it.
We roll with the punch.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thank you so much for having me. It was very fun. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.